All right. Let's talk about meeting Peter's cousin. I honestly don't remember this girl's name. So we are going to call her Sarah. Sarah, if I remember correctly, is Peter's favorite aunt's youngest child. This is her first time in San Francisco. As a matter of fact, what I came to find out is that this is one of her first times actually leaving the state of Michigan. I don't think she's ever left the state before. This was kind of a big deal for her to be coming all the way out to California to visit Peter. Now, the timing of all of this was very, very interesting because it happened right after my birthday, right before our trip. I knew that she was coming, and also, so it's like her trip was of course planned a few months in advance, and given how serious Peter and I's relationship was and was getting as you've gotten the whole roller coaster, I was, looking forward to entertaining his cousin. Now, here's the other thing, is that his cousin came 2 weeks after his mother came. His mom made a lot of trips to San Francisco. So I like I said, I hung out with his mom maybe 6 or 7 times total. So I'm just, again, so much happened, and I'm trying to keep it all very linear and very pertinent to the story. But Peter's mother came also with her serious, longer term partner, boyfriend, and his son. So that was a trip that happened a few months. And then, like I said, his mother came, my birthday, cousin came. Just so you get the nutshell. That, again, I'm meeting many of his family members. We're making pretty significant plans. You'll see more of those that come about in this episode, in this part of the story. But do not lose sight of the fact that the final FaceTime is less than a month away. Okay? It's a matter of weeks at this point. And here's the other thing that I did not realize until shortly before recording this part right here. The last time that I saw Peter in person, face to face, we hung out, and we were still together, was with his cousin. So in other words, yeah. So in other words, by the time I saw him next face to face when we were trapped on the airplane together, obviously we were no longer together. So the last communication we had as boyfriends was the final FaceTime. But again, I didn't put any of this together until afterwards. So, cousin comes. Like I say, they rented a hotel room for the two of them. And right away, Peter and cousin start to bicker. So like I said, they walk around and drink a lot. Obviously, she wants to see lots of San Francisco. So, excuse me, we hung out twice. But because I own a walking tour business, part of what I honestly like to do, especially for family members of my serious boyfriend, I like to show them San Francisco. I'm a native. I know what's best in the city of San Francisco, folks. And if you don't want to take my word for it, that's fine. I don't have to give you my time. But plenty of tourists who have given me 5-star reviews do find that. And so anyway, my friends and family tend to take me up on that offer because it's not one that I make to very many people. So again, in a nutshell, I have given Peter's mother several private tours, and she's also joined some of my other ones. And I was more than happy to do that for this cousin. That did not ever came to be the case. Why? Because Peter and his cousin got into several heated arguments. Mind you, I'm getting all of this backstory from Peter because the other thing that happened, so we hung out once. I honestly don't really remember what we did. We got Oh, we hung out at the farmer's market. That's right. And the tension was like, I could feel that the tension was a little high. So we go to the farmer's market. Part of it was that if I remember correctly, this girl's like a little more conservative, so she makes comments that she maybe like shouldn't be making, about the LGBTQ community, and that's all I'm gonna say. So I'm really happy, again, this is secondhand information, I'm really happy that she never said anything like that around me, because I would not have been able to bite my lip. I would have quickly put her in her place. But anyway, backstory, just all this is going on, right? So we hang out at the farmer's market. Again, girl's kind of awkward. I'm thinking to myself, oh my, this is going to be interesting taking her on a tour because she's so fucking awkward. But again, there's worse than awkward. So, and then come to realize they had just gotten into a fight right before I came into the picture. So, long story short, they got into heated, huge arguments and fights every night in the hotel. She calls him evil. Before I came to my own conclusions to realize how evil this man was, she calls him evil. As a matter of fact, says something along the lines of the evil lights up in your eyes, like you can just see the evil in your eyes. Very, very interesting choice of words, right? They get into such a pissed off, heated argument that she actually pays, mind you, this is the first time that this girl has traveled out of the state that she lives in. She pays extra to change her ticket to go back a day early. That's how much she can't stand being around Peter. And of course, in my head, what I'm being told and what I'm being explained is that, oh, she's bipolar. Oh, she's coming down with this. Oh, she's coming down with that. Taking it out on me. I'm so traumatized and so battered. Of course I'm going to take my partner's side. Of course I'm going to, who do I know longer? So fast forward to what I came to find out later was the last time that Peter and I hung out as boyfriends. So we meet up in the Castro, and in my head and everyone's head, this is kind of like, okay, things are kind of like diffused, like apologies have been made, things are kind of chill, so maybe I can show around part of the Castro. Not really the case. I can still see that the tension is kind of high, but also I'm getting kind of sick. So I dragged myself out of bed to hang out with them in the Castro, to like show them around a couple of things. I do remember that I ran into a couple of my friends. I said hi to them and introduced them to Peter and his cousin. So that was cute. That was nice. And then we part our ways. I believe that they went to Haight-Ashbury afterwards, which is not that far. I don't believe at that point, no, because it was very kind of last minute where the girl, no, this is what happens. This is what happens. So that night is supposed to be her last night in San Francisco, right? They check out of the hotel. Her plan is to stay at Peter's place and leave in the morning. They get into this pissed off, heated argument and they start fighting. And you know what happens? She leaves Peter's place and she goes and spends the night at the airport, and he never hears from her ever again. So she left without saying anything. They got into an argument. She gets pissed off and leaves. And of course, I'm getting all of this information secondhand from Peter. So I have no reason to not take my partner's side and to not believe my partner. Also keep in mind that I'm getting over being a little bit sick. So I will expand on all of this. But Peter is so pissed off and so hurt and whatever that he decides that he's not going home for Christmas that year. He decides that he's coming with me to visit my family in El Salvador and Guatemala. So keep that in mind. We have the Vegas trip planned coming up in a couple of months, at the end of 2 months, because this is still in May. And then in December, we are planning to visit my family in El Salvador. As a matter of fact, we even had it fucking planned that we were going to act like friends because we didn't want to have to deal with my family and it being in a homophobic country and people, asking us or being potentially putting up to having our lives at risk because we're gay. Okay, so that's the extent to which we had made the plans. Even to the point, mind you, I have my tickets. I'm going. I don't need a scrub to go visit my family in El Salvador and to go see Guatemala for the first time. I've been waiting for this shit for years, So we had even planned to the fact, because many of you know it's a lot cheaper to fly out and a lot easier to fly out of Central America, out of Miami. So we had even planned to the point where we'd agreed to fly out of Miami and we agreed to fly back into Fort Lauderdale because he didn't want to go to Miami twice. He wanted a bit of a change. So that's where the story leaves off. When I kissed him goodbye and hopped back on the train back downtown, because again, I wasn't feeling good, I did not realize at the time that that would be the last time that I would ever see Peter as boyfriends. What I did know is that shortly afterwards, actually at this point I already knew, even though the river trip was about 2 or 3 weeks away, I knew that he had a trip planned to the river, to the Russian River north of San Francisco with his group of girly friends. And I was excited to hear more and see more about this river trip that was going to take place in early June, but we are still in May. So before that, I have to actually tell you about something else that took place, and I'll talk about that in the next video.